All right, today we're jumping right into the Greenland crisis of January 2026. This is a seriously high-stakes standoff, one that's threatening to completely shatter a military alliance that's been in place for 75 years. So let's break down how we got here.
Okay, so this is the quote that just blew everything wide open. This one statement reframed the entire situation. All of a sudden, we're not talking about international diplomacy anymore. We're talking about a real estate deal and treating an entire autonomous territory like it's just another property to be bought and sold.
So let's follow that train of thought for a second. If this is just a deal, what does that actually mean for geopolitics? Well, it means the established rules, the ones that have governed international relations for decades, are basically being thrown out the window and rewritten on the fly.
You know, this idea first popped up back in 2018, and honestly, most people just dismissed it. But in January 2026, it came roaring back with a vengeance. And the target here isn't just any old piece of land. It's Greenland, which is part of Denmark, a founding member of NATO.
But here's the thing. This isn't really about land or resources, not at its core. To really get what's at stake here, you have to understand the motivation behind it all. And it turns out the why is, well, it's intensely personal.
In this pretty incredible interview, the president just laid his motive bare. This wasn't about getting strategic military bases or hammering out new international treaties. Nope, it was about something way more fundamental, the psychology of ownership itself.
And naturally, that led to the obvious follow-up question, right? A reporter tried to nail down who exactly this psychological need was so important for. Was this for the country or for the man leading it?
And boom, there it is. That answer makes it crystal clear. This isn't about some grand national interest, it's about a deep personal conviction. What we're seeing is a single individual's psychological need driving a massive global crisis.
And you know, this mindset, it goes way beyond just Greenland. When he's been asked about what limits his power, the president has been pretty clear. His own morality is the only real check. International law, that's seen as something flexible, maybe even optional, depending on how you define it.
So you might be wondering, how did the rest of the world react to all this? Well, it wasn't with quiet, behind-the-scenes diplomacy. It was with an immediate, forceful, and very public pushback from America's closest allies.
And we're not talking about some strongly worded letter here. No way. 7 key allies got together and launched Operation Arctic Endurance. This is a joint military operation, and it's designed to send a crystal-clear message of solidarity with Denmark and beef up their presence in the Arctic.
Okay, so while all this is happening on the world stage, what about back home? Well, public opinion in the U.S. is just starkly against this. A recent Reuters/Ipsos poll shows only 17% of Americans are on board with acquiring Greenland. And using military force to do it, that number plummets to just 4%. There is practically zero public appetite for this.
European leaders are being absolutely blunt. I mean, there is no ambiguity here. Denmark's prime minister, with backing from the EU's defense commissioner, has basically delivered an ultimatum. A unilateral move on Greenland doesn't just strain the alliance, it ends it. Period. And you have to understand, this isn't just some spat over an island. National security experts are sounding the alarm, warning about a potential domino effect that could throw the entire globe into chaos.
Experts like Tom Nichols are using some really strong language here. The core fear is this. If the United States can just decide to seize territory from a key ally, then that promise of mutual defense, the entire foundation of NATO, becomes meaningless. The world order that's kept a fragile peace since World War II could just crumble.
And this is the nightmare scenario that experts are mapping out. It starts with the U.S. breaking its treaty obligation. Then NATO collapses, Russia sees an opportunity and attacks the Baltics, China sees a green light and moves on Taiwan. And from there, it's just a terrifying cascade of global crises. So, all of this pressure has now triggered a huge backlash in Washington. And what's really critical here is that it's coming from members of the president's own party. They are drawing a very firm line in the sand. In fact, you've actually got a bipartisan group of U.S. lawmakers led by Senator Chris Coons in Denmark right now. Their whole mission is diplomatic damage control. They're trying to reassure the Danes and pull this entire situation back from the brink. And it's not just Democrats. Key Republican leaders are coming out and just shutting this whole thing down. Publicly, Senator Lisa Murkowski says flat out the support in Congress just isn't there. And the powerful chair of the Armed Services Committee, Roger Wicker, has declared that a negotiation isn't even on the table.
And some Republicans are taking it even a step further, raising the ultimate political threat. Representative Don Bacon put it in the starkest terms possible. Ordering an invasion of an ally isn't just a bad foreign policy move. He says it's an impeachable offense, a high crime that would very likely end a presidency.
Which, of course, leaves us with the one critical question at the very heart of this crisis. When the personal will of a single leader goes head-to-head with a 75-year-old global security alliance, what breaks first? The entire world is holding its breath, waiting to find out.